Okay, just moving on with the video series here. I'm covering the submissions packets to the IDGOP Summer Meeting 2025. And of course, resolutions is one of those packets, second part into that, because resolutions always takes longer. So we're going to get right back into it as soon as I adjust myself on the chair and transition properly. But there was part one I just did. This one is also going to take roughly the same amount of time. So, hey Siri, start a timer for 40 minutes.
40 minutes starting now.
Okay, we're good to go. We'll transition over to the correct window here. Now we're at 2025-40, so we're at roughly 1 minute 1 second into the video now. 2025-40 is resolution support of limiting out-of-state funding for ballot initiatives. Okay, oh, hurry. This will be good. So, whereas the people of Idaho cherish the right to self-governance to shape the future of their state through the ballot initiative by, okay, so far so good. Whereas the rising tide of out-of-state funds, such as the 80% of contributions totaling in $4.4 million that bankrolled the Prop 1. Okay. I'm liking this. Read it for yourselves if you like. Pause the video if you like. Whereas in a ballot initiative, the statute regulated of out-of-state funding for items to reclaim their control, ensuring that decisions are driven by blah blah blah. Okay, cool. Whereas the Legislative District 2 has extended resolute in its commitment to defending principles of local control, yada yada yada. Whereas the passage of this initiative would deliver profound benefits to the people of Idaho, including a stronger, clearer voice, greater transparency, renewed saying, okay, I like this. Wait a second. Hari, you better not have used ChatGPT for this. This is starting to feel like it. Deterrent for out-of-state groups. Foundation for. Therefore, be it resolved that the Idaho Republican State Central Committee proudly endorses and support. Okay, I'm gonna have to go to the keyboard here. Therefore, be it resolved that the Idaho Republican State Central Committee proudly endorses and support a ballot initiative to establish regulated limits on out-of-state funding for ballot initiatives, recognizing. Okay, this is being worded kind of weirdly. Also, a sign of ChatGPT. Hari, you better not have done it that way. Recognizing it as a vital step towards local control, etc., etc. Upon farmers, workers, and to rally behind, yada yada. We'll submit this resolution by enforcing. Okay, cool. Agree. Okay, so the next one is Idaho 2025. Resolution 2025-41. So 2025-41, and we are 346 in the video. Okay. Howard Reinerson out of LD9. Whereas there is fundamental to provide food and assistance for all humanity. You're not wrong, but this wording scares me. I don't know what direction you're taking here. This better be good. Whereas only 4 states have charges equal sales tax on food and others as well. Okay. Results of the poll. For years active filing for the chairman's drawer. Oh, that's right. This is one of the chairman's drawer problems. Yeah, okay. It was the one and only time that passed a bill to repeal the grocery tax was vetoed by. Okay, you're taking a shot. Okay, don't miss. But okay, Brad Little said as a campaign promise he would sign it to repeal the grocery if it was sent to him by the legislature. He said that though? instead of helping taxes. Okay, therefore be it resolved. Supports a valid initiative brought to with sufficient signatures to be placed on the repeal of sales tax on groceries. Okay. I'll say passively agree. Because some of the language in there, it sounds a little bit lefty, but I'll leave it alone. I'll leave it alone, especially if everyone's okay with it. So, let's see. My official response to it is passively agree. What's the next one? 2025-43. 2025-43, and we are 550 in the video. Okay. So, title: Eliminating Gender Identity and Gender Ideology from All Ordinances, Code, Rules. Didn't we already do this? Oh yeah, they were arguing about this in in Ada County, and it's coming from Ada County, so I guess it makes sense. Whereas, efforts to eradicate from, yeah, okay, this is all kind of blandly Republican, to be quite honest with you. Because it's not really all that extreme. This is just truth. Unhealthy road is paid by a person against the language of the biological science, replacing the. Oh yeah, that's right. When they confuse the terms sex and with the terms sex and gender, and yeah, that's right. We were all talking about this. Of course, I was only half paying attention because I'm not on the county central committee technically anyway, and I think I went to go get a soda at this point because I looked like I was just going to agree with it. I didn't need to preach to the choir, so I just sort of went to the vending machines. I think that's what happened here. Invalidating the true value of men, women properly, and yeah, female, boy, according there. Therefore, the address calls for to do all this, calls for to do that, the gender ID, and therefore. Okay, yeah, this is just a whole bunch of agree. It is an inherently Republican position. That's 2025-43 is agree. It is an inherently Republican position. Okay, next resolution. 2025-44. 2025-44, and we are 8:13 in the video. As soon as I can type correctly. Okay. 2025-44, calling for e-verify legislation and stronger enforcement in Idaho. Okay. So far, comes out of Region 5. Oh, cool. Oh, I see what they're doing. Here. And I agree. I think I'm just gonna agree with this resolution. But I'm gonna go over it though. It deserves its time. Whereas the sovereignty and security of the United States depends on effective enforcement. Not wrong. Illegal immigration. You know what? And I do appreciate that they're writing this this resolution with the correct formatting. I appreciate this, Brian. Anyway, but illegal immigration poses cost and sex, blah 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 blah, and undermines the rule of law. Not wrong. McClure Center for Republican Policy Research about that in 2024, 35K illegal aliens were living in Idaho as of 2021. Not wrong there. Whereas representative of the wait a minute, hold up. Whereas a representative of Idaho Dairymen's Association admitted in 2024 that up to 70. Oh, I know what you're doing. Ooh, why didn't anybody tell me about this? You're picking a fight with the Mickelsons. Ooh. I'm going to be in Rules Committee at this point. I want to see this, though. I want to see this fight go down, though. I'm liking this. Okay, whereas Idaho's growing economy must not continue to be a magnet for illegal labor. Where's the lie? Where's the lie? Tell me. In that highlighted text right there, where is the lie? Nor should law-abiding employers be placed at a competitive disadvantage by those who hire. Also, where's the lie? I mean, you packed some really good stuff in just one whereas clause there, Brian. Oh man, that's the reason why I like working with you guys. Whereas the state of Idaho can combat illegal more effectively by fully cooperating with the Trump administration. Piss off all the anti-Trump Republicans in the room. Republicans. There's a certain four-letter word that we use that Dorothy Moon does not like doesn't like me to use anymore. But it would absolutely apply, and starting this fight would absolutely root out all the anti-Trump people and all those anti-Trump in the room, you know. Romeo, India, November, Oscar. Okay, whereas the E-Verify system is a proven federally mandated. Be careful to not glaze the government too much. Be careful, dude. Federal mandated laws, blah blah blah. Okay, you know, sections 287G of the Nationality Act, blah 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 blah. Okay, I'm down with this. The public has a right to transfer regarding cost and extent of limit. Yeah, we have a right to that, and we're not getting it. Representative Mickelson, including data on the number of illegal aliens in state prisons, jails, and plugs. Where's the lie? Where's the lie? Whereas special interests, lobbies, and even members of the He's going there. He's going there. Okay, cool. Oh man, I want to sell some popcorn at the meetings now. I want to sell popcorn at the meetings now. Whereas, in fact, I'm going to be writing that down in the. I want to be selling popcorn at the meetings now. I mean, I'm just writing that down in there because that's going to be part of my reaction to this. Special interest lobbies and even members of the legislature resist efforts to enforce immigration laws. Woo! Woo! Okay. Whereas the Idaho Republican Party platform, as adopted in June 2024, hey, we were there, states we support the detainment and prosecution of any person or organization aiding and abetting illegal. Oh, that's right, it says that. And some people tried to push back. In fact, there was a very certain person named Andrew pushing back on that. We remember. Therefore, be it resolved that the Idaho Republican State Central Committee calls upon the legislature and the governor to sign the legislation during the 2026 election to requiring all employers in Idaho to use the federal E-Verify system for all new hires. I don't like expanding a federal program, but this technically isn't expanding it, and it's for an actual productive purpose, so I'll allow it. You know, further be it resolved that that urges all state and local agencies to pursue and enter into 287G agreement with eyes to strengthen the enforcement at the local level for cooperation whenever possible. Okay, I agree. Be it further resolved that the Idaho Republican State Central calls for annual reporting by the appropriate state agencies for the number of illegal aliens currently incarcerated in local, as well as the number of school-age children unlawfully present in the state who are enrolled in public schools, and for legislation requiring such reports. Not a dang thing wrong there. That's a thing that should happen. Okay. Therefore, be it resolved that the Idaho Republican State Central Committee strongly condemns any business or employer that knowingly hires illegal aliens and supports penalties for those who do so. And they're picking it. That's another jab right in there. They're starting to fight, and I want to watch. I want to watch. I'm gonna be in the Rules Committee at this point, though. I want to see this, though. Oh, okay. Be it further resolved that the state central committee strongly opposes any effort or measure to grant legal status, work permits, or driver's license to any person illegally. That's just milquetoast Republican stuff. That's even, in fact, most rhino Republicans would even. Oh, I said the word. Sorry, Dorothy. The R word is not supposed to be. We're not supposed to be using that here. The Romeo, India, November, Oscar. Not supposed to be using that. Okay, but I guess I should say former establishment people would also be for this. Most of them. However, certain people in the dairy industry oppose it, so, you know exactly who I'm talking about, too. Anyway, be it finally resolved that the Central Committee urges all elected Republican officials to stand firm against pressure from special interests and to uphold the rule of law by advancing these reforms. Okay, so my official reaction to this will be hard agree. I want to be selling popcorn at the meetings now. I want to see the debate on this. Okay, yeah, that's my full thing. So, hard agree. I want to be selling popcorn at the meetings now. I want to see the debate on this. Okay, so next resolution will be. Oh, they did a little page break issue here, but it's Resolution 2025-45, 2025-45, and we are 1741 in the video. 41 in the video. And what is this? Resolution in support of repealing the Corporate Transparency Act. What even is that? I probably have heard of it before, but I don't remember this being the title of anything. So, okay, you know what? I'm sure the resolution will get there. So we'll just hear them out. Brian Clearly. Oh yeah, that name is familiar, and it's from Kootenai. Ah, okay. Oh, and here's one of the good ones up there from there too. Not to say that Brian isn't, but Nina Beasley is one of the really good ones up there. And the Kootenai County people, they do a lot of good work up there. Just saying. I'm never leaving Boise, at least voluntarily. But if I were to ever leave Boise, Kootenai County is one of the places I would go. Let's see. Whereas the Corporate Transparency Act, CTA, enacted as a part of the National Defense. Oh, as part of the NDAA. Ooh, okay. You're already convincing me partially against it. Okay, it requires millions of small businesses and limited liability companies to report detailed ownership and financial. Okay. CTA imposes significant administrative and compliance burdens on small businesses, family-owned companies, and entrepreneurs, or extends term to law particularly reform their business and creating jobs. Okay, that sounds like that would be the case. Okay. The compliance requires the CTA to disperse the effects of the environment, navigating subliminal. Okay. I believe you there. CTA's reporting obligations from businesses is sensitive personal information, so names, addresses, okay. I would want to hear the presentation on this, but I'm not going to be in resolutions anyway, at least probably not. But it sounds like this person has things to tell, things that I would want to listen to. But anyway, the objectives of the CTA, such as combating, are already just through. I hope that this is correct. Anyway, including, your customer, anti-alarm, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Financial crimes, yada, yada, estimates in compliance with yada, yada, blah, 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 blah. Whereas federal court decisions have raised constitutional, blah, blah, blah. Updated, beneficial. Okay, you know what? It's very clear by this point that they have definitely built their case. They have, according to available, Kootenai County has approximately so many small businesses account for, okay. Therefore, be it resolved that the yada yada urges Idaho's delegation to support legislation to repeal the CTA. Okay, that this committee calls on Congress to yada yada and yada yada. Okay, I say passively agree. It's not a subject I'm super up on, but you know what? Sounds like this is this resolution is correct. I'm going to say passively agree. Agree. And move on. Because this is not my strongest subject, but you know what? I support my friends who do have it as a strong subject. Right, 2025-46. 2025-46. And where are we at in the video? 2158. Alright, and what is this? 2025-46 is resolution to preserve and protect the U.S. Constitution and oppose all calls for an Article 5 convention. Okay, I'm already agree. And this is Nina Beasley. Okay, and the Kootenai County people, and getting right on it. It looks like they submitted this. They submitted this resolution fairly on in the cycle, fairly early on in the cycle. So to be presented by Nina. Okay, cool. Man, I want to go to this resolutions meeting now, but I'm gonna have to be in rules, at least for most of it. Ah, dang. Maybe I can get somebody to record it, because there's a lot of resolutions here, and this is definitely one of them where I want to see not only the presentation, but I want to see the debate, and I want to see what happens with a lot of this. I don't want to just see the report later. I want to see what happens. Anyway. So, whereas the United States Constitution has protected the fundamental rights of Americans for almost 2.5 centuries and provided the foundation for, okay, some pretty basic constitutional history there. Establishment and Constitution on the best blood of previous centuries and sacred duty. Ooh, we're going there. Okay. I don't know how many people are going to be watching this particular video. This is part 2 out of however many. I don't know how many are going to be going this far in, but if you are listening and or watching this video, and you happen to be a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, especially if you are an adult male, and especially office of elder or higher, if you have not already, I want you to acquire the book God, Family, Country by Ezra Taft Benson, and I want you to read it, because this is very, very relevant. There's an answer that I personally needed as far as our church doctrine and what this all, and what we might need to be doing with an Article 5 convention and whatnot. I didn't get a direct answer out of it, but you won't come away from the book, exactly pro Article 5, as it were. Article 5 convention, rather. So, find the book, God, Family, Country by Ezra Taft Benson. You already know that name. You probably have seen the book before. read it. Definitely read that book, especially a lot of the parts where he's talking about his own personal history with constitutional matters and whatnot. I know there's a few times. And also read the part of the book where he talks about where he's like in Europe and stuff. It's very relevant. But anyway, I'll continue. Whereas the challenges identified by the proponents of stem from a failure to abide by the Constitution. I've been saying this for a decade now. Like, adding a new rule onto the system is not going to necessarily make people follow the rules. And of course, that just scales up with the Constitution. If people aren't following the Constitution, adding something to the Constitution isn't going to make people follow the Constitution. I'm already hard agree with this. Like, I don't think I can agree anymore with this. Whereas proponents of an Article 5 convention advocate that such a convention will empower the states to rein in Congress. Well, we know that's not true, but I'll let them speak here. While complain language of them empowers Congress to call for amendments and necessary. Well, she's describing, and the scare quotes here, and yes, they are scare quotes, but they're there for a reason. The required Congressional Research Service and actions clearly indicate an expectation that a dude's calling pursuant to the would fund the convention, which power. Wait a minute. Okay, so no, the selection and number of delegates, the expectation that Congress would fund the convention, which powers and duties constitutes controlling the makeup of the convention, and conditions under which. Oh, that question that under that Colton Bennett resolution, this almost addresses that question. And again, we are in the position where no proponents of an Article 5 convention have attempted to answer the question that I have about it. But this gets close. Oh, it's over there. This gets close. I wonder what else is in here. Oh, okay. Whereas the proponents of Article 5 convention make unjustified claims of certainty that such a convention would provide one state, one vote. It wouldn't. When the most recent convention has suggested a proportional representation. Yeah, that's right. They did do that. They did do that. A proportional which would be devastating to smaller conservative states. Haven't heard it quite put like that, but that is absolutely true. Whereas members of the radical left, like states like we recently passed a resolution card in order to oppose gun control in states, also have a seat of representation at any convention table. Okay. Whereas assurance that any amendments proposed that require ratification by state legislature is empty assurance, given that Article 5 stipulated that Congress will again retains a controlling role in Article 5 ratification process, choosing the method of ratification, including as an option by ratifying conventions in various states, presumably. Okay, they're just talking about the facts of the matter at hand here. Whereas it is clear that risks outweigh any supporting benefits of calling an Article 5 convention, the state of Iowa took action in 1999, Senator to repeal all yada yada, which action included the following statement from Justice and other leading constitutional agree that such may propose sweeping changes to and any limitations. Oh, that's right. I got in an argument with a friend of my mother, of all people. She has since passed, so I'm not going to talk bad about my mom's friend. However, we got into a little bit of a heated discussion about this, where any limitations or restrictions on purportedly imposed by states applying for such conventions, notwithstanding, thereby creating an imminent peril to the Yep. I wholeheartedly endorse this. Preserve and protect the union. Preserve and protect the union. Okay, yeah. There's a phrase that this is keep that the gentleman, the LDS gentleman that I was just speaking to. If you're still watching or listening, this phrase right here: preserve and protect the U.S. Constitution. Remember that phrase when you're reading that book I recommended. Remember that. By opposing all calls for Article 5 convention, and there be it further resolved that this legislation be transmitted to Governor Brad Leonard, yada yada. By opposing, hard agree. Hard agree. I've just noticed all of the videos in part 2 here. Well, the other monitor is over here. I'm over here, but anyway, all of the resolutions so far in part 2 are agree. So hard agree. I cannot. Like, how do I? I cannot agree with this resolution anymore. Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. Okay, anyway, next resolution is 2025-47. Okay. 2025-47. Where are we in the video now? 3113? 13. Alright, and what is this resolution? Are we about to have a dark turn here? Title, Support of the McLean Act for Statutory Enforcement. Oh, this is Lynn's one. That's right. Little birdie told me about this one. Lynn Brad submitted my Lynn Bradsky because, of course, Lynn is definitely not exactly in the same factional vein that I am in, especially over the years. However, Lynn has been one of the people that absolutely will work together towards a Republican and towards a conservative end. So, in that case, see, and here's the thing, is that, yes, there were a majority of people working together to make some positive changes, you know, after the summer of 2023 in Ada County. These are not all the same faction of people. We're actually quite, I don't want to use the word diverse, but definitely varied in a lot of the views of what being a Republican might mean, what being conservative might mean. Lynn Bradesky is definitely not on the same track as necessarily I am, but she has been the kind of person that absolutely has been working together for us, because it is a big tent, the Republican Party, and you know what? A lot of people from the different corners of the tent absolutely are meant to work together. Lynn is absolutely one of those people. I'm definitely, if I can say so, I'm one of those people, you know. And working together for Republican stuff is what we should be doing. This is what working together as a party looks like. So, anyway, rant over. Well, Lynn Bradsky passed by. Oh, that's right. That's right. That's right. We that this was all discussed. I think this is one of those times where I got up. Yeah, I got up to go to the vending machine, and I think I was arguing with the credit card terminal at it or something. Yeah. Let's see. Whereas the Idaho legislature has a duty in that law, so blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that's right. We're starting a fight about the whole flag thing. And whereas House Bill 96 in 2025 is a strict blah blah blah, lax penalties or further mechanisms. That's right. That was that whole argument about enforceability. One recently committed by the lack of unauthorized flags. Whereas laws without enforcement can undermine legislative, erode public. Well, not wrong here, but then the lawyers start arguing about some statute in Title 18, the one that says laws without enforceability are a misdemeanor, yada yada, and some other lawyers are saying no, that's not true, and okay, whatever. Whereas the Idaho Republican Party platform supports effective limited government that ensures laws are clear, enforceable. Okay. I remember reading that part of the platform a couple of years ago when I was doing the whole platform series. Whereas a statutory requirement for all new laws adopted by the state of Idaho to include with strict enforcement of the mechanism. Well, okay, so she's saying, so literally it's just talking about putting teeth on laws of this kind. Okay, that's a Republican thing. It's to serve a Republican purpose, is to promote the Republican philosophy. This is a completely good thing. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Republican State Central urges the Idaho legislature to introduce and pass in the 2026 legislative session of the McLean Act. Yeah, I'm trying not to laugh. This whole time I've been trying not to laugh at the name it has been given. But since these acts and these pieces of legislation, these resolutions can absolutely be given pretty much any name that people want, there's nothing preventing us from naming it that. And what recourse would anybody honestly have against such a name? They wouldn't have. There is no recourse. But anyway, would amend the language by adopting the to enforcement mechanisms that include but not limited to withholding of sales tax revenue to the jurisdiction you otherwise entitled. Okay. I imagine some people out in, say, JFAC and things of that nature might want to have a say on exactly, the distribution of stuff, because that's a whole argument that they get into sometimes. But you know what? I'm sure that can be ironed out in the session. Be it further resolved that this calls for a review of existing entities to identify those lacking enforcement. Well, that might be a bigger task than you think, but you know what? Journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step, so might as well get on it. Be it fun that this resolution be sent to yada yada yada. Okay, cool. So so for this one, 2025-47, agree, and we need to get moving on that. It would almost be a better thing to have this resolution up at the winter meeting, given that this is rather specific legislative intent in here. But I think knowing Lynn and a lot of the things that have been done with her cooperation, I don't think that's going to be as much of a problem as that is with, say, some other resolution. So I look forward to the next legislative session. In fact, I'm going to add that in. I look forward to the next legislative session. Okay, so my full response is agree, and we need to get moving on that. I look forward to the next legislative session. Okay, next resolution, as it's already peeking up above the, below the fold here, 2025-48. 2025-48. And what time are we at it? 38:32. Ooh, getting up on that timer. 38:32. And oh, yeah, I already know what this is. I just see Ben's name right there, and yep. Okay, I know what this is. Title resolution calling for the transition of nonpartisan election to and we've had something since that meeting right there that have absolutely proven our point on this. But we'll go through it there, because one of the things I've definitely been wrong about over the years is the actions and intent of Ben. So he has absolutely been getting certain kinds of results that are absolutely needed in District 17, and therefore Ben has earned my respect and my attention. I'll put it that way. So anytime that name comes up, I'm gonna at least give it the respect it's earned. Anyway, so 2025-48 is calling for nonpartisan elections and blah blah blah. Whereas the current nonpartisan elections and yada yada trustees obscure the ideological and moral frameworks guiding these elected officials who wield significant influence over the governance of our communities and the education of our children. There's not a dang thing wrong with that whereas clause down there. Not a dang thing wrong. These elected officials enact their personal morals and values onto the people and children that govern, often advancing policies that reflect specific ideological leanings under the guise of neutrality. He's taking a direct shot at Mayor McLean. Like, that, you know, and the thing is that I bet most people on the left in this area wouldn't even recognize that as a shot, much less a shot at the mayor of Boise. And the timer just went off, so I will be finishing this, and then doing all the clicky-clacky stuff, so there's at least going to be a part 3 after this. But anyway, continuing with the resolution here. Whereas examples of such moral imposition include the promotion of pride events which align with liberal values, frequently by city officials, and imposing a particular worldview on constituents. Not wrong. That's what's going on. It's actually pretty disgusting. Whereas the presence of sexual books and materials, and okay, yeah, we're going down this road too. Okay. Whereas policy of transgender individuals using bathrooms of their choice, and oh, I wonder if we can fit in the story about my brother and the library bathrooms, but no, it almost fits in the story, but we're just going to keep going. Diversity, equity, inclusion, increasingly foisted upon residents with similar. Yeah. We've got it actually pretty bad with this stuff here in the city of Boise. Pretty freaking bad. Whereas these examples demonstrate that non-persons fail to vote, leading citizens accountable, consistent with party platform. Yeah. Whereas transitioning to partisan races would ensure transparency, allowing voters to align their ballots with okay. Well, checking an R is still as good of an identifier as people would think, because people can be anything and still check that R, but at least that's something. At least that's a positive movement in here, so I can't knock it. Whereas partisan elections were therefore the voters and okay. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Idaho Republican State Central Committee calls for the Idaho Legislature to amend laws to convert the currently nonpartisan races into partisan elections effective no later than yada yada. That will take some doing, just as a practical matter, but it kind of needs to happen. So, again, journey of 1,000 miles will start. Begins with the first step. So, we got to be doing something. Be it further resolved that upon the chairwoman shall the competence, blah 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 blah. Well, as a 40-year resident of the city of Boise, I cannot agree any harder with this resolution. In fact, that's what I'm putting down as the as a 40-year resident of the city of Boise, I cannot agree any harder with this resolution. Okay, so just to read it off before I finish out the video. As a 40-year resident of the city of Boise, I cannot agree any harder with this resolution. Okay, so part 3 is coming up as soon as I do all the uploading and clicky-clacky stuff. See if I can just, it will start off with 2025-49. I'm going to transition to just the webcam here. I think, well, see, how much is left in the window there? Like, barely a fifth. I think I can round this out tonight. I'm hoping that I can round this out tonight. Now, there might be a roadblock or two in the middle, but you know what? I'm going to try. So, I'm going to cut it off here, say blessings. I'll see you on the other side.